An if statement lets us execute a line of code only if a certain condition is true. So to write an if statement, we always follow the same format. We write if, parentheses, and then we write a Boolean expression, close our parentheses. On the next line, we add an opening curly bracket. We always make the matching closing curly bracket at the same time so we don't forget. And then in between those curly brackets, we write what we call the body of the if statement. That is the line of code, or maybe multiple lines of code, that we want to run only if the Boolean expression that we wrote is true. So here's an example. We have an integer a with the value -2. If a is less than 0, then we're going to run this line of code. This is our body of our if statement. If it's not less than 0, then we would skip this line of code and just continue down below this closing curly bracket with whatever code is there. So in this case, since a is -2, -2 is less than 0, our Boolean expression is true. So we are going to run this line of code and print out the words less than 0. Another way to write if statements, if we only have a single line of code in the body, is we can leave out the curly brackets. So this is the same example as before, but I left out the curly brackets and it will still only run this print statement if a is less than 0. If I wanted multiple lines of code, I would have to put in those curly brackets. Otherwise, it would only run this one if a is less than 0, and then it would always run the lines of code after it. So if you leave out your curly brackets, the if statement is only going to affect the line of code right after the line that says if. Now notice we're always indenting the line of code or multiple lines of code in the body. So the if statement, and if you have the curly brackets, as we do in this example, always line up with each other in one nice line down the left, and then we indent whatever lines of code are in our body, and that makes it easier to read.